I will invite Emiel Jurjens for his statement.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Emiel Jurjens, and I am providing legal assistance to the Foundation Human Rights for Eritreans, both in its research and in its actions, as Mulu already mentioned, including a court case against the European Union some time ago. There's a wealth of evidence of systemic and gross violations of human rights within Eritrea, stretching back decades. An inquiry by the United Nations in 2015 found, and I quote, an array of human rights violations on a scope and scale seldom witnessed elsewhere. Those violations are still ongoing as of today. Next, the Eritrean regime at its highest levels is involved in various illegal activities, most notably, but not solely, the organization of human trafficking through the regions of Sinai and through Libya. For that reason, Eritrea has been and can be reasonably qualified as an international criminal organization. It profits of the misery of its citizens. Furthermore, Eritrea plays and has played a destabilizing role within the Horn of Africa region. The latest example of this is in early November 2020. At that point, Eritrean forces from Eritrean territory invaded Tigray. That led to a major war, which quickly escalated into one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. This crisis is still ongoing, even though it may have disappeared from the headlines. It's important to know, it's still ongoing and there are still grave violations of human rights occurring within that conflict. There is credible evidence which shows Eritrean involvement and involvement of the Eritrean army in various violations of human rights, and very grave violations of human rights, which can be qualified as core international crimes or as atrocity crimes. For instance, the widespread and pervasive use of rape as a weapon of war, use of starvation as a weapon of war, the deliberate destruction of health facilities, such as hospitals, the perpetration of massacres, and the deliberate destruction of refugee camps, and also the forced deportation of Eritrean refugees in those camps back into Eritrea. These actions by Eritrea in Tigray undoubtedly qualify as, in any case, war crimes and crimes against humanity. However, up until now, these crimes have been committed with full impunity. That is clearly unacceptable. The victims of this war and the Eritrean people deserve justice, relief, and reparations. However, so far, the response of the international community has given them very little hope that any of these aims will be realized. Neither the EU nor the UN have instated any sanctions, and there is no active investigation into these crimes by the International Criminal Court or any other competent authority. In light of this, the Foundation is actually struck by the fact that the international community has taken very quick and decisive action against Russia after its invasion of Ukraine. Far-reaching sanctions have been instated. The prosecutor of the International Court has been announced it would start an active investigation into the situation in Ukraine. A joint investigation team has been set up, and also Russia has been banned from several UN bodies and agencies. The General Assembly has condemned the invasion of Russia, all within a very short time span after the Russians started the war in Ukraine. Of course, the situation in Ukraine fully merits taking each and every of the measures I have just described. The situation in Tigray and Eritrea equally merits taking such measures, and also taking such measures swiftly. However, as of yet, the response by the international community has been very limited, to say the least. Therefore, at this moment, it appears that Eritrea has been able to commit very grave violations of human rights, including mass atrocity crimes, without any significant consequences. Eritrean, Tigrayan, and Ethiopian people enjoy the same rights as all other people, yet the international community does not sufficiently protect them in view of the Foundation. And that is a violation of the fundamental principle of non-discrimination. Of course, this is all the more concerning as recently Eritrea has allied itself with Russia. In recent UN votes, it has consistently voted in favor of Russia, for instance, to prevent investigations into war crimes allegedly committed by Russia and to prevent any condemnation of Russia's actions in Ukraine. Clearly, Eritrea recognizes that there is a similarity between Russia's actions and its own, and it is seeking to prevent any accountability for these actions. It knows that it may be next, and it should be next. Furthermore, the Foundation has reliable information showing that Russia and Eritrea are working together in practice, also in a military context. In conclusion, the international community is morally, but also legally bound to do more to hold Eritrea to account. And today, therefore, the Foundation would use this opportunity to call upon the EU, the UN, and any other relevant international actors to reinstate sanctions against Eritrea. Previously, sanctions applied against Eritrea, however, these have been lifted some time ago. They should be reinstated and should be severe. The Foundation also calls upon the EU, UN, and all states to stop any financial aid to parties in Eritrea which are linked to the Eritrean regime, and to stop any financial aid which may lead to enabling a network of human traffickers in Libya, which are linked to Eritrean state officials on the highest level. It is unacceptable that any actors which are involved in such grave violations of human rights are financially supported by the EU, by the UN, or any other international actors. The Foundation also calls upon the International Criminal Court to do all that is needed to be able to commence an investigation in the situation in Tigray and Eritrea, and to begin proceedings to investigate the victim identification and any victim needs. Finally, the Foundation calls upon the international community to support any investigations which may take place in Tigray and/or Eritrea to the maximum extent, and also, and that's important, to take follow-up steps after its findings are released, notably after the report in 2015 of the inquiry into the situation in Eritrea. No concrete follow-up steps were taken. That can no longer be the case. I should note that the Foundation will publish a more extensive version of this information online under the title Responsibility of Eritrea for Grave Human Rights Violations, a Call to Action. And a link to that document will be distributed. The Foundation will continue its research and continue to closely monitor the situation. After today, in 2 months, or earlier as the situation necessitates, the Foundation will compile and communicate its findings and take and announce further legal steps as appropriate. I am available for any questions. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Emiel Jurjens, for your statement.